As of 2015, Nigeria's sugar demand stood at 1.5 million metric tons, and sugar farmers across the country have been working to meet local consumption following the ban on importation of sugar some 7 years ago. But that still remains a big struggle, that is to meet the demands. My guest speaks about the challenges of implementing the National Sugar Master Plan on this week's episode of the program. Thank you for joining us on Dateline Abuja. I'm Ibrahim Adra. Sugar is an essential commodity in our homes, be it for your tea, coffee, baking, pap, and of course other domestic uses. But it goes way beyond that. The National Sugar Master Plan is designed to encourage domestic production and save foreign exchange. We'll talk more about the plan in the interview segment. Now, at least 120,000 pupils will benefit from the federal government's school feeding program in the Federal Capital Territory. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Affairs, Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, made this revelation during the flag-off of the program. Aside from aiming to reduce the out-of-school children, the federal government school feeding program aims to end malnutrition and poverty in the country. According to UNICEF, an estimated 2 million children in Nigeria suffer from malnutrition, and about 10.5 million children are not in school. As the program kicks off in the nation's capital, government is hoping that the scheme will attract other benefits, aside from increasing school enrollment and boosting child nutrition.
This program is designed to increase enrollment rates by mopping up the huge numbers of out-of-school children in Nigeria while tackling school-age malnutrition. As part of the value chain, the program has empowered the cooks and provides a sustainable income for smallholder farmers, thereby stimulating growth and productivity around the communities in the states. The National Homegrown School Food Program is currently benefiting over 8.6 million pupils in over 56,000 public primary schools in 35 states across Nigeria. 670 cooks have been empowered, and over 200,000 smallholder farmers linked to the program by supplying locally sourced ingredients to improve the nutrition and quality of meals for our children. In the FCT alone, 73,000 pupils are being fed in 402 schools by 796 women. The benefits of this are evident and manifold. In the broad sense, we define the homeschool food feeding program as a school feeding program that provides food produced and purchased in Nigeria. With over 8.4 million eggs consumed weekly and 94 metric tons of fish, the schools within the program provide local farmers with a predictable market for their products, leading to a stable income, more investments, and higher productivity.
Since inception, at least 8 million pupils across the country have benefited from the scheme. That's according to the National Social Investment Program. In the Federal Capital Territory, at least 120,000 pupils are expected to benefit. The office has budgeted 70 naira for the daily meal of each child.
The program is also targeting about 120,300 pupils that will be drawn from 626 public primary schools across the 6 area councils within the Federal Capital Territory. Henceforth, pupils will feed once daily with meals containing the 6 required nutrients from primary 1 to 3. I want to assure you all that all stakeholders present and parents, teachers, traditional and community leaders who are the gatekeepers and the vendors who will prepare the meals will be carried along in the full implementation of this program. To ensure efficient service delivery, a feedback mechanism involving the head teachers, health teachers, and class teachers of each school has been put in place. In addition, a process of training the head teachers, health teachers, and class teachers in each school is equally in place. These 3 individuals shall be responsible for the day-to-day monitoring of the feeding program in their respective schools. They are responsible for the generation of the data and information, punctuality of vendors, and adherence to the meal timetable, also not leaving out the quality of the meal. We affirm that the quality control process shall be vigorously pursued to ensure that this very laudable program of President Muhammadu Buhari-led administration does not fail.
The federal government believes that this program will ensure public school pupils have access to balanced diet, which will improve their well-being and development. Welcome back. Now let's look at the stories that made the headlines within the week in the nation's capital.
On the back of the rising spate of insecurity across the country, the leadership of the National Assembly on Monday met with President Muhammadu Buhari to find ways of better securing the nation. The meeting was held for hours behind closed doors.
We have come to discuss with Mr. President the way forward, what we feel about some of these security challenges, and also to ask him what he thinks we should do. Even though in the Senate we still have our committee, ad hoc committee, to work and come up, fashion out specific measures that we believe should be taken. But in the interim, there is need for us as a government to ensure that we provide a way out to tackle the security challenges, and then in the intermediate and the long term, we should be able to also come up with some strategies, the roadmap to ensure that we secure the lives and property of Nigerians.
In the meantime, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Muhammad Adamu, appeared before the Senate, where he addressed the lawmakers on the security challenges confronting the country. The session was held behind closed doors. When he emerged from the session, he told journalists that he addressed the lawmakers on the concept and practical implementation modalities of community policing policy.
If you can remember, last year we sensitized the whole country on the need to adapt community policing in the country. And the concept is to give policing back to the community, let the community take the initiative in identifying the problems that are there that can lead to the commission of crime, and then we work with the community to solve the crime. We believe that everybody comes from the community, and the community, in the community, you know who and who is there. So taking policing back to the community will help in reducing crime to the barest minimum.
Still on the nation's security challenge, the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, says the federal government is doing all it can to contain the situation. Professor Osinbajo stated this when he received clergymen from the northern parts of Nigeria under the auspices of the Arewa Pastors Forum for Peace in his office. Meanwhile, the fight against terrorism and other forms of insecurity may have received a major boost with the commissioning of 3 attack helicopters by President Muhammadu Buhari. At the launch of the aircrafts, the president says 3 helicopters will assist the Air Force in the tackling of the contemporary security challenges.
I have no doubt that the development of this Augusta 109V gunships and the Mi-171E helicopter would add impetus to the combat efficiency of the Air Force in combating our contemporary security challenges. We are committed to taking the right steps in achieving the desired results. The acquisition of these aircraft, amongst other military equipment, despite our budgetary constraints, is an expression of our commitment. We shall ensure that every sector of our nation experiences the change that we have promised.
President Muhammadu Buhari has directed the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, to immediately address the lapses observed in the coordination between ministries and all agencies of government. The President's directive is part of the suggestions from his Economic Advisory Team, which presented its first report to him since its inauguration.
I have received the executive summary of your first report, and I commend you, Mr. Chairman, and each member for your patriotism in agreeing to serve your country in this capacity. Thank you very much. The economy is the most delicate. The economy is the most delicate and sensitive of all aspects of national life. A little change in the inputs and the metrics can lead to major disruptions in the national economy. For Nigeria, international changes in oil prices, bad harvests, conflicts in strategic global locations, a global pandemic like we are experiencing now with coronavirus, tariff changes in major world economies, to mention only a few examples that readily came to mind, can significantly affect our own plans and fortunes. In the circumstances, I cannot overemphasize the importance of your task. I am highly pleased, based on what I have read in your executive summary, of the depth and painstaking thoroughness of your preliminary report. This bodes well as you properly get to grips with complexities of the economy and came up with options for policy direction. I have noted the salient points of your report, and these will be incorporated in government economic policies. I have noted some of your constraints, and I will instruct the Secretary to the Government of the Federation to address the issues without delay.
Going forward, visitors to Nigeria have 79 classes of visa to choose from 3 categories. The visa on arrival policy is also restricted to only a certain category of visitors. These are some of the clarifications contained in the Nigeria Visa Policy 2020, which President Muhammadu Buhari unveiled at the State House. All is now set for the commencement of forensic audit of the Niger Delta Development Commission. This is part of the report presented to the Federal Executive Council by the Minister of the Niger Delta, Senator Godswill Akpabio.
We are also repositioning the NDDC to focus on major projects, what we may call legacy projects, to leave behind something for the Niger Deltans.
President of the Senate, Senator Ahmed Lawan, has named a 57-member Constitution Review Committee. The committee is chaired by the Deputy President of the Senate, Senator Ovie Omoagege, and includes 1 senator from each of the 36 states and 2 each from the 6 geopolitical zones. It will also comprise the principal officers of the Senate, who will further serve as members of the steering committee. A bill for an act in the 1999 Constitution to provide for the financial and administrative autonomy of local government councils has scaled second reading in the House of Representatives. The bill, which is sponsored by Representative Manu Soro, also seeks uniformity in tenure for the local governments across the country.
My appeal is a constitutional matter. We still require the said assemblies. It's very important. And so I want to appeal on all of us and appeal to those who may possibly hear the words that may not be sounding so good into their head, that the intention of the bill is to bring good governance across the country.